So I absolutely love the Kung Fu Panda franchise and series. I think it is absolutely brilliant, and the first two movies in particular are just on another level, as they are just so strong, and DreamWorks have absolutely smashed it with this franchise in particular. And so I cannot wait to rank all 4 movies, and I would love to hear your thoughts, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. But let's begin the ranking, and as I'm sure you can predict, in at number 4 I'm going to put Kung Fu Panda 4. I was just expecting so much more from this film, and I know so many people have said this franchise didn't need a 4th installment, but I would challenge that in terms of they have broadened out the franchise with all of the animated TV shows, and the creators have said that they wouldn't have done a 4th installment if they weren't really convinced with the plot, with the growth of the Poe character, and just the expansion of the world in general. And I can see where they were coming from. I just feel like, unfortunately, the execution and final product with this movie just was not at the same high bar that they have themselves created with the first 3 brilliant films. As I feel like mainly the main problem with this one is that they've just catered far too much for a younger audience and just completely neglected and completely forgot about the older audience, and just didn't have the dark, involved, layered moments that the first 2 installments in particular definitely did have. So not only were the jokes very kid-centric, but they were really repetitive, and they just didn't have the same pizzazz that the first 3 movies in particular did have in spades, and there just weren't enough cool moments in general with the 4th installment. It is still enjoyable, and because I am such a super fan, I was able to get enjoyment from it. I was just expecting so much more. In at number 3, I am going to put Kung Fu Panda 3. I just feel like the first 2 Kung Fu Pandas are just on another level altogether, and I feel like the 3rd one did similarly make a couple of mistakes. Not as many as the 4th one did, but I feel like the over-focus on the new panda characters unfortunately did detract a little bit from the storyline. I thought it was an interesting twist. I feel like it didn't really fully explain how all of these pandas have survived for so long, but because of the fact that they overly focused on them, they just neglected some of the better aspects that the first 2 movies definitely were able to capitalize on. I also thought Kai was a really cool villain. I just would have loved a little bit more of a backstory with this character, as it was just a couple of very limited threads that they were explaining with this character. And whilst he looked really cool and his jade powers were incredibly lethal and were just really game changing, I just feel like as a character he could have been so much more rounded and even more developed. I loved the spirit realm, and especially when Poe goes into the spirit realm towards the end of the movie, and this is where he gets elevated to another level, and then Master Shifu gets really jealous of him right at the end. I thought all of that was really cool, and I loved all of the emotional moments between both of Poe's fathers, as you can literally see things from both of their perspectives, which I think is always just such a testament to excellent writing, as you could just feel and see where every single one of those characters were coming from. And I just feel like from a writing perspective, it was just done so well. So now we have Silver Play, so the runner-up within the Kung Fu Panda movie world. I'm going to put Kung Fu Panda 1, actually. I was debating this a lot, but I just feel like because of the fact that the first one was so strong, it just allowed the second movie to just totally go there and just completely blow it out the park. And they just took everything that the first movie did and then just 10x'd it in such a strong way. But that being said, the first Kung Fu Panda movie is just so good. As far as origin movies goes, I feel like they did such a good job with this first installment, and I feel like so many subsequent projects have borrowed a lot of things from this first movie in terms of having an unassuming hero being the person that ultimately does save the day. And Tai Long was an absolutely brilliant villain. I loved the idea of being the chosen one and then seeing this character completely go down the dark side. You could literally see and feel Master Shifu's heart breaking when he's just witnessing this happening in front of his eyes. I feel like all of those sequences were so good, and in some respects did mirror Anakin Skywalker's storyline in terms of being set up to be the brand new hero and then suddenly is becoming the evil villain when he believes from his perspective something that he was promised is now not going to be a reality. And very similarly, the Tigress character, she was also promised and made to feel like she is going to be the next successor, but then suddenly Poe comes in there and steals that limelight from her. So I feel like it was just such a brilliantly well written first installment, but because of the fact that it was just written so well, it allowed Kung Fu Panda 2 to just be absolutely outstanding. And therefore, I feel like Kung Fu Panda 2 is my favourite installment from the entire franchise released so far. I think Master Zhen was absolutely diabolical, and I feel like it was really interesting how he was the person that ultimately killed Poe's parents, Of course, you later find out that his dad did survive, but I just feel like it just gave this character so much more presence, and therefore it just meant so much more to Poe in terms of potentially having his revenge on this character. But because of the fact that Poe is just such a heroic character, he was never able to make the final blow and kill off the Shen character. So even though Shen was such a twisted, evil, diabolical villain, which did actually make him really, really good, and because of the fact that he was also linked to Poe's past, it was just so good and so emotional, as well as your heart is breaking with Poe. And also they give the Furious 5 tons of stuff to do, which I think is a real shame that the 4th installment totally forgot about the Furious 5. And there were so many brilliant action sequences just chasing across the city. It felt very Crash Bandicoot inspired. And the stakes were so high as Master Shen wanted to take over all of China and then potentially take over the world. And he's created this weapon that is easily able to kill off people. So, you know, the stakes were so high with this movie. And it just felt very dark, but those dark moments are very quickly followed by comedic relief moments, but never at the detriment of the stakes that were being set in this movie. So I feel like it was just coming together so well. The animation was so good, the storytelling was so good, the voice acting was so good, the fact that all of these characters had tons to do was so good, and therefore it just made Kung Fu Panda 2 just absolutely incredible. And sometimes you can't strike lightning in a bottle twice, but I feel like with this installment, they definitely did prove that you can do that. So for all of those reasons, I feel like Kung Fu Panda 2 is the best movie from a Kung Fu Panda ranking perspective. And now I'd love to hear from you. What is your ranking? What's your favorite Kung Fu Panda movie? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video.